Hey, this is Nick, and this is a tutorial on deploying your smart contracts for Ontology. So in previous tutorials, we went over how to write your smart contracts in SmartX and how to handle data within your smart contract. So now that we've kind of tested out writing smart contracts at the basic level, we want to go ahead and figure out how to deploy our smart contracts onto a network so that we can possibly share our contracts with others or just be able to test more functionality writing our client applications. So within the Ontology ecosystem, there are three different types of networks. So we have the private net, testnet, and mainnet. So the bulk of the work that you're going to be doing is in the private net. This is going to be a custom private network that's hosted locally on your computer. So you will have full control over your own private network, and you'll have access to all the ONT and ONG in this private net so that you don't have to worry when you're deploying or testing your smart contracts. The next is the testnet. This is going to be after you've already fully tested and created your client applications using your private net, and you're ready to share your application with others. So on the testnet, you can actually request test ONG and test ONT, but you still need to request that from Ontology, and it is very easy to do and very easy to use, but I would suggest sticking to the private net just for ease of use, and you can reset it as many times as you want. And lastly, when you're all done testing on testnet and you are ready for production deployment, there is the mainnet. And of course, you're going to need real ONG in order to deploy your smart contract, and it costs about 10 ONG for deploying a basic smart contract. So let's get a little more into it and getting you set up with your private network. So the private network for Ontology is called SoloChain. This is a desktop application that you can download directly from the GitHub repo. So as of this tutorial, the SoloChain application is currently at 0.0.3. So just download this using DMG for your Mac or EXE for Windows and install that application and you'll be ready to go. So once you have the application installed, you're going to open it up and you'll first be presented with this accounts screen. So on the account screen, you'll see the very first account on here is going to be your master account for your private network. It's going to control all the ONT and all the ONG accumulated up to this block. And so what you want to do is you want to click on Redeem ONG, and this is going to claim all the ONG for this account to allow you to have some available for either sending funds to other accounts in your private net or to deploy your smart contracts. In order to get this account working with SmartX, we're going to have to export it into a wallet. So on the very right hand side, you're going to see this little key icon. So if you click it, you're going to be presented with this window that's going to show you your private key. And so this is just a test account, so please always keep your private keys private. But in this case, you can copy the WIF here and it'll be used in the next step. So in order to use the SmartX application to deploy your smart contracts to your private net, you're going to need also a wallet. So if you don't already have the Cyano Wallet, you can go ahead and download it. I left the link in the tutorial. And once you have the wallet installed, you can go to Import Private Key, and you're going to paste in the key that we just copied from your SoloChain account. If it's a new install, it's going to be Import Private Key on the first screen. And if you already have Cyano Wallet but you'd like to add this account to it, on the top of the balances screen you'll see here this icon with a couple of arrows. If you click on that, it'll take you to the account screen where you can select to import a new account. And once you get there, you can paste in your private key and set a temporary password that you'll remember for this account and hit restore. And upon restoring your account, it should show that this is the master account for your private network. If it doesn't show these numbers, you may want to go into your settings. This is at the top. If you click the gear icon and you go into the net property, you can select the drop down and select private net and scroll down and hit save and go back to your wallet, and you should see this with all the ONT for your private net and the ONG that you've just claimed. So now that you've got your private net all set up and you've got your wallet set up to interface with the SmartX platform, you can go back to SmartX and you can get ready to deploy your smart contract. So we're going to go ahead and do that live now. So I'm going to continue from the data handling smart contract that was done in the previous tutorial, and if you haven't already done so, you can go ahead and compile your smart contract. and you can hit the deploy tab at the top right. So you can go ahead and enter some details about your smart contract. I've already edited mine here, and once you've done so, you can scroll down and hit the deploy button. And what should happen is the Cyano wallet that you've added the master account for your private net to should pop up with the details of the deployment that you're about to execute. And a couple of things: whenever you're signing transactions using Cyano, you want to make sure that you are confirming all the details of what you are signing. And for this case, you want to make sure that it's connected to private net, so you don't actually deploy your contract accidentally to mainnet or to testnet. And then once you're done confirming, hit confirm and enter the password that you've entered and enter the password that you saved this account with. Okay, so once you authenticated, it should have broadcast your transaction with your deploy script into your private net. And the way that you can confirm this is in SmartX. On the very bottom, you have this logs tab, and you can see here it logged that a deploy action was done and it is successful. So we should now have our smart contract in our solo chain private net. So if I go over here to our smart contracts tab in solo chain, this is a list of all the smart contracts that are currently deployed on the private net, and the one that we just deployed here, data handling, is at the very top. So now that we know that our smart contract is successfully deployed to our private net, we can go ahead and start test invoking it from SmartX. So let's just select a function here. We're going to choose put item. It's going to write some data into storage. So previous, when we were doing it in the debugger, it would write into this storage debugger here. But when we use the run button instead, it's actually going to send this transaction to our private net and write it onto the blockchain. So I'm going to go ahead and set a key, hello, and set a value world, and hit run. And as we can see here, this is asking me to sign another transaction, which is going to broadcast this call to put item on our smart contract. So I'll confirm and again enter my password. Okay, and as we can see in the log, the invoke of the smart contract went through, and this is our transaction ID. So if you actually run over to your solo chain application, you can go to the transactions tab, and you can see here at block 121, it's now 123, I can see my transaction where the hash should match the hash that was here. Okay, so now that we put our item into storage, let's verify that it indeed saved it onto our private net. So what we can do is use the getItem function and use a string with our key that we set for hello. And this time, instead of run, we're not going to write anything to the blockchain, so we're just going to use pre-run instead. And as you can see on the left hand side in the logs, it did print a result, but it looks kind of funny. This is because this is the hex string version of the response, which should be world. So at the very top, you can go into the tools tab, and there are a couple of utilities in here that help you to decipher the return values coming out of your smart contract. So in this case, I'm going to paste the result into the very first one that converts the hex string into a string and hit transform. This is in fact the value world that we had input using put item. So those are the basics of how to deploy your smart contract from SmartX into your private net hosted by SoloChain. But at some point, once you're done writing your application and you'd like to share this with others, it's easier to share it when it's deployed onto the testnet as opposed to your private net. So what you can do at that point is you can go through the process to get some testnet ONG, and you'll be able to deploy your smart contract to the testnet. So I've left the link to get test ONG here in the tutorial. If you go to the site, all you have to do is paste the address for the account that you would like to receive your test ONG and ONT. And what I would recommend is not using the same account that you use in SoloChain, because this private key is common amongst everyone. So if you request testnet ONG to this address, it may have already been used. So you are going to have to create a new account in your wallet and you're going to use that to deploy your smart contract instead. And keep in mind that you can only request this once per address, but you can make as many addresses as you want while you're testing. And one last thing I want to show you in the Cyano wallet is when you are ready to deploy to a testnet or a mainnet, you can go over here to the settings by tapping the gear icon, and you can click the drop down for net and select testnet. And you're going to have to select a node to broadcast your transaction to, so I would choose just Polaris 1. Scroll down to the bottom and hit save. And now you can see here that the Cyano wallet is pointed at the testnet. And now you should be all set to deploy your smart contracts into your private net or testnet. And thanks for watching.